You're listening to the Shopify Solutions Podcast, a podcast for Shopify store owners that brings you concrete examples on how to build and grow your e-commerce business. My name is Scott Austin, and I have an e-commerce agency named Jade Puma. In this podcast, I'll share my e-commerce insights and best practices with you. Hey folks, before we dig into this episode, I want to tell you about a new service that I'm offering. It's a store audit where I sit down and record my impressions in a video of your store and brand and provide recommendations on improvements you can take. Clients have been telling me how useful these audits are in building out and prioritizing their to-do list. If you're interested, click on the link in the show notes to learn more. You'll see actual audits that I've done so you'll know exactly what you'll get. Now, on to our episode.
Hey everyone, Scott Austin here, and in this episode I have a guest, and I've met and worked with Jamie in the past, and she brings a unique service that I wasn't even aware of a year ago, let's say, in the world of digital marketing. So Jamie, why don't you introduce yourself and tell people what your title is?
Yes, I'm Jamie Lee. I am a lifestyle, wellness, and travel content creator.
Content creator. So explain to me how content creator is different than an influencer. I'm sure there's some overlap, but there's also some non-overlap between those two spheres, because a lot of people understand what influencers are. And what I learned in working with you is, well, there's this new nuance to it of digital creators. And what are those people doing?
Yeah, so there's like digital and content creators. Like a content creator can create content for brands and experiences, and like it's for a blog or for YouTube, and it could be educational, or it could be entertaining, and or it could be for like magazines or things of that nature. That's content creator. A digital creator would just be online, so YouTube, social media, blogs, things like that. Whereas an influencer, you're hiring an influencer almost for their audience, their ability to create content, but also the audience that they've developed by building their own brand. And so an influencer is typically going to work with a brand, um, creating something that they are specifically trying to influence people to buy or purchase or be a part of.
Yeah, and that's the nuance that I found really really interesting. In that there's world of influencers. You can pay $100,000 to get Beyonce to talk about whatever it is you want her to talk about. Well, probably more than $100,000 for Beyonce, but there's an expensive world, and it's a one time shot where you're tapping into their audience, and then what you provide, which is a little bit different, is you're going to create content for your Shopify store owners, your brand owners, and then they get to use that content in all of their marketing, not just in marketing to your audience, but in marketing to their audiences. Is that a good way to explain that?
Yeah. So, what I find is people will start a brand, they'll create a product, but there's so many jobs involved in that. And oftentimes, they had this great idea, started the store, but don't know how to make content, don't like, maybe they're not even really on social media. And so it's really nice to have a content creator, a digital creator that understands how to film, understands the verbiage that people are looking for. Often it's important to know like what's trending, especially for social media like TikTok and Instagram, and just to make aesthetically pleasing videos that speak to the audience. But you don't always want to be selling to your audience. Sometimes you just want to teach about the product. You want to physically show how to use it, and hiring a content creator to help bring that to life is really helpful for brands.
Yeah, and just like the one that I learned recently, like what is an Instagram reel and what is a YouTube short, right? And the difference between a reel and a story, like I had no freaking clue about these things. And with the content that you created for me, I actually just this past weekend posted my first YouTube shorts. I didn't even know those things existed 2 months
Yeah.
ago, right? But now that I have content in that format, I can put it up there and be part of that ecosystem also. One of the things it sounds like you're providing expertise in is knowing what those channels are and the formats. For example, you need a lot of vertical video these days instead of horizontal video, and what different formats work on which channels and all that good stuff.
Yes, I love that you noticed that. Yeah, it used to be the other way. It used to be vertical or horizontal, and I guess like as the platforms evolve, like everything evolves. The way that content is created evolve, the way that the formats are evolve, and often, and they're honestly kind of competing with each other. So a few years ago, content for Instagram was photography content,
Yep.
and that's where I started. That's where I started building my audience, and I loved taking photos and like posting them on Instagram and sharing in that way. And then when TikTok came out, it was all video content, and not even that, but like under a minute. Like people just were consuming really quick, and they just wanted the information, and then they wanted to go to the next one. And then so everybody was at TikTok, and Instagram was like, well, shoot. So then they started creating reels so that they had a video form content, and also what's important for brands to know, I think, is that like Instagram, because they're competing with TikTok, will push reels more than they'll push photos. So at the moment, you should post both, but know that if you're posting a photo, Instagram will show it to less people than if you post a reel, they'll show it to more people because they're competing and they want people to utilize reels more often right now.
Yeah, and I found the same thing to be true in YouTube when that, I posted 2 YouTube shorts this weekend, and one of them already has like 115 views, which is more than any of the other videos that channel has on the normal 4:3, aspect ratio videos. So it sounds like YouTube's probably doing the same thing where they're promoting these short form vertical videos more, and
Yep.
and people are consuming them more.
Yeah.
So, as a content creator, how do what services are you providing in content? Is it photography, video? Do we get into words and blogs, or is it mostly the visual assets?
I would say that I focus more on the visual assets, and I would say that I'm pretty into video content and editing. I love photography too, so I do photos as well. But I will actually, if I'm working with a brand, I'll typically lead them to video content just because I know that that's going to perform better, and I want it to perform better too. So, um, it's a blend of both video and photo content. I don't do a ton of blogging, although with the help of like Chat GPT and AI, I feel more confident with it. So I've been doing it a lot more. But otherwise, like I do like write a script. Typically, I'll write a script for a video so that I can like do a voiceover or something like that when I want to describe the product or the experience to somebody.
So, when you work with a brand, what are you giving them physically as assets? You give them the files that they can go and edit it. What formats do you do? And I'm sure it's different for every content creator, but I just want to get these Shopify store owners listening to understand, if they work with a content creator, what are they going to get as part of that relationship?
Yeah. So basically, what's going on right now is you can hire a photographer, you can hire someone, you can hire an influencer, obviously, a content creator that's doing video content that it would be called the kind of like the lingo is like organic content. So if a shampoo brand wanted me to make a video for them, I'm going to use their shampoo, talk about it. Organic content is I will make content for them and they can post it on their social media platforms. And that's also, people refer to it as user generated content,
Mm-hmm.
which is like I'm a real person talking about this product and my experience with it, and it's not like a commercial ad where it's super curated and they've hired an actor and things like that. Typically a user generated content creator is someone that creates content that's like a real human with their showing their real experience with the product. And right now in marketing, that's really popular, again because of the rise of TikTok. It just organically started happening in that way, and people are trusting that more than they're trusting like curated ads. And so that's user generated content, and I do a lot of that. And then there's user generated content for ads specifically. So if somebody wanted to boost an ad on Instagram or TikTok, that's called like a sponsored post.
Mm-hmm.
So organic is that they just post on their platforms, but some brands will put ad spin behind it. And user generated content creators will charge differently. Often it's like there's a base rate for an organic video, and then they'll do packages. So if somebody wants to buy multiple videos, then maybe the content creator brings the price down. And then if they want to use it as an ad, and the content creator knows that there could be a lot of money generated through these ad spins, then a rate might be a little bit higher, or some content creators will charge a percentage monthly as long as the ad is running. And it's kind of like, I created the video, so it's my video, but I'm going to lease it out to someone and they can run it as an ad for a certain period of time. And so that's a style that I focus on a lot. And then, you could also just have a photographer. Sometimes maybe somebody wants to do a full-on campaign, especially for clothing lines or something like that. So then they'll have a professional photographer come in and like shoot everything. And that's still going to be for social media, but often it's also for the website. I do a little bit of that. And then also I have been doing a lot of like influencer events. So I have a community of like friends that are content creators and influencers here in LA. And so for like an Airbnb or for a product, I'll curate like maybe like this whole picnic scene, and I'll have like food and drink products that will hire me. And then I'll bring in content creators and I'll have them have sort of like posting requirements. Like, can you post and tag the brand, with 3 stories or something like that throughout the duration of the event? And then I will gather all of their content. We love taking photos everywhere we go anyway. So when there's a beautifully curated picnic, like we cannot help ourselves. We're taking all the
Yes.
videos and photos of it anyway. And so I'll collect all of that and put it together. And then that will be a deliverable for the brand or the product or whatever. And then for events or Airbnbs and rental properties, I love trying to get everybody out. Sometimes it's like 4 people, it could be as much as 10, depending on the size of the property. And same thing, I'll have everybody kind of create as much content as they can and want that's like organic, because my like vision is going to be a little bit different than someone else's. So it's really unique to have different people's like style and vision and like their filters and their edits. Everybody will be a little bit different. So it's really beneficial for the brand or the property. And also it's more fun for me,
Yep.
for us.
Well, and it sounds like one of the services you bring is not just one content creator, but multiple content creators, so that there's truth in numbers, right? So if there's 5
Yeah.
people sitting there enjoying something versus one, it's a little more authentic depending on what it is that you're promoting.
Yes. And then like often they share it to their audience. So instead of like, I have like around 48,000 followers on my Instagram, but like maybe they have 20,000, and someone else has 15,000, someone else has 100,000. So it goes out to more eyes, which is
Yep.
great. And then we all, but as far as deliverables go, when kind of like it's varies so much, but if I'm talking to a brand and figuring out deliverables, it's like maybe I'm offering 10 to 15 photos and 2 curated reels, or maybe it's 4 curated reels and 20 photos. Like we just kind of negotiate that and talk about a rate. And then also there's raw footage. So if I create a video, or if I'm in the Airbnb and I'm just creating videos of everything, I'll edit together what I need to make a video that's like under a minute. And I'll still have all this extra footage. And oftentimes brands would like to have or purchase the raw footage, because then they could in-house put together multiple videos and utilize that. And that's really helpful.
Yep. Now, you're based in LA, you mentioned. How much of your clients are in the LA, Southern California area? How much is this a local phenomenon? Or is it,
Yeah.
the internet makes it, and you can work with anybody?
I would say I pretty much work with anybody. Yeah. I would say it's at least 50-50, but it might even be more people that don't live in LA. Like for travel stuff, I actually just started leaning into travel content this year. And so I choose locations like within a driving distance, like 4 or 5 hours. There's so many great ones in LA. So those are going to be my more local clients. Hopefully I'll be in Bali soon, collaborating with properties out there, but
Yep.
I'll keep those local. But products and stuff like that, they'll just mail me products and I'll do what I can. And I live near the beach and like in the marina. So oftentimes if a brand is like looking for some type of like water content or boat content or whatever, I like to pitch that I'm capable of doing that because I'm right here.
Yep. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, how should brands think about finding content creators that can help represent their brand and create this content for them?
Yeah. So I think Sometimes just being on like social media, Instagram, Twitter, utilizing a hashtag, as you know, can help. If you hashtag travel content creator or hashtag UGC creator, hashtag influencer, you can find people that way. There are agencies or like platforms that are kind of like the middleman. Sometimes they'll charge more because now they're taking a cut
Yep.
too.
Yep.
But there are website. There's one called Cohly, Cohly, and there's one called Incense. There's quite a few platforms, and then it's kind of like there's a portfolio of all of these content creators, so you can look at all their work and see which one works for you.
Yep. Yep. I actually like the idea of reaching out directly to people and finding the ones you like and cutting out the middleman, just because that's the way. I don't know. I'm a cheap bastard, so I like reducing costs wherever I can, kind of thing. So if a brand was to, and I'll explain the story for the audience here. The way I found you is I actually have an Airbnb by Sequoia National Park, so it's a national park, and I searched for hashtag Joshua Tree, which is another national park down the road from me, and I looked on everything that showed up, and within the first 15 that showed up, I looked for anybody with more than 20,000 followers, which you have 40,000 plus. And then I tried to see what their title was. And within 15 posts, I found one of yours that was in Joshua Tree. And I saw, oh, this person has 40,000 followers, and they're a digital creator. And you had an easy link for me to follow to your portfolio page, contact me page, right? It was so simple. And I've explained the story to a bunch of my clients since then. Like, it was so easy for me to find a content creator. Now I'm in Southern California, a more populated area, but I believe that most brands can find a local one or one that resonates with them much more easily than they think they can, especially if you search by that person's title, right? Your title, that's what I was, new for me was I saw your title was digital creator. I'd never seen that before. And then how many people are like that, right? Because there's the people that are trying to be influencers or are being influencers, or they're just photography for their own studios, and they're not in the business of creating content for other brands where digital creators are. So if you just find that hashtag you're looking for, find a person whose title is digital creator, and then reach out to them through the channels that, if they're a good digital creator, they're going to have listed in their Instagram profile. It's a way to start meeting those types of people.
Yep.
As a digital creator, when you have a brand reach out to you, how should they reach out to you? And not just, send an email kind of thing, but what should they be telling you about? And what are the red sirens for you? Like, oh, this sounds kind of crazy kind of thing. What should people do? What should they not do when trying to engage a digital creator?
I think that not having a super long email is helpful, and it's vice versa because I pitch brands too, and I try to keep it short and digestible because we all get lots of emails. But just kind of reach out via email or direct message. But I always think it's nice and it feels more professional to eventually move the whole conversation to email. So when I pitch or get pitched, like, it's usually like, hey, can you direct me to the correct person or the correct email address to discuss a partnership? Yeah, I would say just kind of like what it is that you do, what your product is, a link to your product. It's really, I think it's really good to already have a social media platform. There's something about, for some reason, there's something about Instagram that validates that you're a real legit business. And I don't know when the world became that way, but that's just how it is. Like, I'll get sent a website and then I'll be like, let me go to your Instagram and see what you're all about. And I know a lot of people are that way, at least millennials.
I call an Instagram your heartbeat for your business. Like, if you don't have an Instagram account, then your body is dead, right? Because you're not showing that there's a living, breathing entity there.
Right.
So I agree with you. Like, at the minimum, have an Instagram account and publish at least one photo a week just to show you're alive.
Yes, I totally agree. And yeah, and then just kind of what it is. I mean, it's a good idea to kind of know what it is that you're looking for. Like, are you looking for photos? Are you looking for videos? What is the intention behind it? Are you just trying to create brand awareness? Are you selling something? And then asking the content creator if it, what their rates are and if they feel capable of doing something like that.
Yep. Sounds good. So keep it simple, right? I like that, right? Don't overthink it. Find the right person, and this is what you do for a business, right? You're a digital creator, so people reaching out to you, what they should do, and you're going to respond if you're professional.
Yeah.
How does the deal get structured? Like, as with anything, there's a bunch of variables, but you've mentioned a couple different ways that things could go. Like, are there contracts? Are there, negotiated rates? Do you have a published rate sheet, or is everything a bespoke conversation?
The way that I do it, everybody's different, but I would say that most creators have a rate sheet, have a general structure of what their rates are based on, is it a video? How long is the video? Are there photos involved? Do I need to go somewhere to film the video? Can I do it at home? Um, is it for my audience or just for your platform, etc.? And so we've typically, if a content creator's been doing it for a while, have a good idea of what their rates are. And so when someone says, here's what I'm looking for, I can say, here's how much that would be. Although myself and many content creators prefer to ask for a budget from the brand, because I know that a lot of people will ask for the budget and work it out from there. But typically it kind of goes back and forth for a while, just getting clear, or it's really good to hop on the phone, because I think that for both the brand and the content creator, it's beneficial to just start building that relationship. And I often find that once you've gotten on the phone and you've talked to the person, and you build that relationship, that there's an opportunity to come back for more collaborations together. So if you can get on a phone call, I think it's a really good idea. You want to maybe use the first few emails to feel someone out, to make sure that it even makes sense. And then try to get on a phone call. And also, most content creators should have a portfolio of their work, and you can go check it out on there and see if they're, and what you want to look for is good quality videos or photos, well lit, it's not super blurry and shaky, and usually they list the brands that they've worked with, things like that. So you want to look for that kind of thing.
Well, that leads up to my next question, which was, as a professional content creator yourself, you're not looking for other content creators, but how should these store owners figure out if the person that they're talking to, sending that email to and starting to build that relationship with, if they're legit or not legit? What are some signs that they're professional, and what are some signs that they're kind of a joke?
I think you should definitely say, hi, I work with this brand. I'm looking for a content creator to do a collaboration. I found you on Instagram. Do you have examples of your work or portfolio and a rate sheet? I would go ahead and just ask for all of that in the beginning.
Yep.
And that way you can just save yourself time and then go from there. So then usually they should have a couple examples of the way that they create content, or a portfolio with all of their content. And then that should feel good and feel safe.
Yep. Some red flags that, this person might not be legit.
I think it also might go back to social media, going and checking out their Instagram.
Yep.
And their Twitter, their TikTok. On Instagram, I like going into tagged photos to see. You can pretty easily feel out if something doesn't feel right on an Instagram page. They rarely post anything. They've never been tagged. Things like that. If they don't have any examples of their work, or it's clear that they just kind of threw something together, then they maybe are just getting started, or they're not legit, but you probably want someone that has some experience. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about, finding somebody, as the brands are looking for the content creators, they should find somebody whose style they like and those kind of things. Do you think that a good digital creator can work with any brand, or there is some brands that match well with creators and some that don't? And, how do you suss that out when looking at things? I assume there's do you know that area that, cars versus wellness, right? Very different industries, and then just styles of photography.
Exactly. I think that, I call myself wellness, lifestyle, travel. I'm not super versed with cars or video games.
Yep.
And I don't drink alcohol. I get reached out to from alcohol brands sometimes. I won't work with brands that I'll maybe pass them along to someone that I think is a good fit, but I won't take on that, because even if I got a script and it wasn't for my audience, I know that I will fumble through the script and I won't feel authentic, and people can see that. So definitely, creators should have a niche or like a few different niches, and it will often say that in their profile or their portfolio.
Yep.
But you can also ask them that too, and just seeing the examples of their work and knowing, if they have any examples of travel in their portfolio, or if they just do like Amazon, finds or something like that. Some people are just fashion. So you definitely want to find someone that is in the realm of what your product or niche is.
Yeah, I've had some clients, and they hire people to wear their fashions, and you can just tell that, this one woman I have in my mind that's done it before. She's just so awesome at making whatever dress she's wearing just look lively. Like she knows all the moves to make it sway really, really well. You can tell it, this is what she does as part of her job, kind of thing.
Yeah.
People that know what they're doing you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, just like there's a lot of brands out there, there's a lot of digital creators out there. You just find the right ones. Don't be in a rush to find the first one. Take a little bit of time, do your research, find the people that are right for you.
Absolutely.
And so, how often do you do contracts? How does the money work? Does the brand pay up front? Do they pay after the fact? How does the deal get structured?
I usually do contracts. Most product brands have a contract for me, bigger brands at least.
Yep.
Have a contract. I'll read it over, sign it. I have a contract if they don't have a contract. Sometimes smaller brands don't. And also for me personally, if it's a much smaller brand, then I will often ask for half the payment up front.
Yep.
And then the rest after deliverables. Or I will, if they can't pay me until after the deliverables, I will put just like a faint watermark on my videos to have them approve it. And then once they've approved it, they can make the payment, and then I will deliver the content without the watermarks.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
probably the safest way.
Have you ever gotten burned? That seems like a really particular tactic that you have, which is based on experience.
I have never gotten burned.
Okay.
I have had a coach. I've had a coach in user-generated content creation, and so she taught me that method.
Okay.
So she's probably been burned.
Yeah, exactly. Like when somebody's that specific, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's some experience going on there, probably.
Exactly.
Excellent. So, is there anything about the brands finding content creators like yourself and all your peers that I haven't asked you about that you want to tell this audience?
Two places that I was thinking of that I forgot about mentioning was to find content creators or vice versa is Upwork, a website called Upwork,
Mm-hmm.
and Fiverr.
Yep.
Those two websites are a place that I know content creators go a lot. And
even United States-based content creators, because I find I use Upwork. Oh, I don't use Fiverr much, but I use Upwork all the time, and I use that a lot for overseas expertise, but not onshore usually.
yeah, I have. So the coaching program that I was in around content creation, we're in this Facebook group. And so we all kind of like talk about how we're finding work and like who to work with and who burns someone and etc.
Yep.
And a lot of them are on Upwork and Fiverr. Oftentimes they are on there just starting out. I would say they're content creators within the first year.
Yep.
And then it's a really good idea for a content creator to build their brand and show examples of their work on their social media. So kind of building that audience, because I pitch a lot too when I want to work with brands and products. But it's nice to have inbounds. It's nice to have brands reaching out to me. So they need to be able to find me. So usually someone will start out on Upwork or Fiverr and charge a little bit less, because I know that a lot of overseas digital creators and things of that nature are on there charging.
It's very
and they have a
price
different.
competitive. Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely. So you made me. I didn't think of this. You had mentioned it earlier, but I didn't think about it. Like, so you're reaching out to brands also, not just brands reaching out to you, but you're reaching out to brands. When you do that, let's put this in the brand's mindset. Like, I'm sure they get lots of solicitations, especially the really popular brands kind of thing, right? What should brands be thinking about when those inbound to them leads are coming in from content creators? How can they, separate the wheat from the chaff? To use the only farm analogy I know. I don't even know what that means.
Sure. Yeah. You want to if you're getting a lot of inbounds, a content creator in theory should be creating, like we said, not an overwhelming pitch, explaining, like mine, for example, is just like, hi, I'm a wellness, lifestyle, and travel content creator. So they know my niche. So like you can automatically know if we're even a fit or not. And then like typically, I'll just tell you like kind of the format that we learned. It's like mentioning who you are and what kind of content creator you are, kind of like explaining what you liked about that particular, like if I'm pitching to someone, I want them to know that I did go to their website and I did read about them and I do understand who they are, and I'm not just pitching 100 brands that I don't actually care about. So I've done my research, and so I'll typically drop in a line or two about what specifically I like about their brand and why I want to work with them. So I think that's a good thing to look for, that it doesn't look copy pasted.
Yep.
And then I'll leave my link for my portfolio so they can automatically just go see my work and then let them respond from there.
Do you also show them your numbers of your community, your audience?
Sometimes. I have been leaning lately more into user generated content where I create the content for the brand and less influencer marketing. I would say most of my inbounds would be because of my audience and they want me to do a post on my page. Most of my outbounds are because I want to make stuff for their audience and for their pages. And that's just because I don't want to overwhelm. I would like to become a full-time content creator. Right now I'm doing it part-time, and I don't want to overwhelm my audience with brands, So I try to keep it, I just try to keep it like it's my content, things that I like want to teach them, whether it's about workouts or cool places to travel or whatever. But if I'm collaborating, I try to do like one a week so that it's not like I'm constantly selling something to them.
Yep. And that's why you're leaning on that portfolio, because that's the proof point there is you've done the work like this in the past. Here's other brands. Here's how my content looks. Go check that out.
Yes, exactly.
Similar to what I do on my site, right? People ask me like, tell me about your business. Like, here's my portfolio. That's all you need to know. Go check it out and listen to my podcast.
Yes.
And go from there. So if there are brands out there who think that you're a good fit, how would they find you, and how should they reach out to you?
They should email me. Sometimes things get lost in my direct messages on social media.
Yep.
Because I get a lot more on there, and I'd say that a lot more are sort of scammy over there, whereas my email seems to be more legit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, reaching out to me on via email, which is on my social media platforms. You can find my email everywhere.
Yep.
And then just letting me know what the brand is and what it is that they're looking for from a content creator. And then we just start the conversation.
Excellent. Well, I think our audience is going to find this pretty interesting. Like I found this whole digital creator thing fascinating as I started realizing it. I think a lot of these brands out there will share the same appreciation for your time today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You've been listening to the Shopify Solutions Podcast with Scott Austin. This podcast is brought to you by Jade Puma, a Shopify-focused agency located in San Diego, California. If you like what you heard, please leave a review and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast.